Attention, this weekend, the Mongolian Murderer's got a fight coming up. He is known as that by nickname, but Aoriqileng by given name. And he's going to be taking on the ATL's own Cody Durden. And for George's Durden, this is a guy that in his last fight, there was a lot of bad blood. There was a little bit of pink eye. He had to wear sunglasses on the walk-in. It was weird. And then he tore his ACL in the fight and got submitted by Jimmy Flick. And what Cody Durden didn't know was the fact that Flick was just going to go full see you later, heel turn at some regional MMA promotion and retire after that one. Durden's been pining for that fight ever since. He's been rehabbing his knee, and now he's back in fit fighting form. And this is a guy that in his background, he's got kickboxing experience, boxing experience. Neither guy was all that great, but still, it's experience, and it happens. And what was it? Kickboxing, boxing, and MMA all in like one wild night of fun. And he entered the UFC in maybe not the most conventional way. I mean, this is a guy, didn't really take on the best level of competition on the regional scene, but you see exactly what he does. He strikes the close distance, has a decent leg kick, and once he gets you down to the mat, you're in trouble. You're in trouble, whether it be by ground and pound, by submission. He's going to hold you down, and he's going to try and finish you. And if you don't believe me, go watch his short notice UFC debut at Bantamweight when he took on Chris Gutierrez and beat him 10-8 in the first round, ended up drawing in that fight. But that's how good Cody Durden can be when he's on his best night. And sometimes that just doesn't happen. In the Flick fight, obviously, you know, you're playing the Bob Costas game with your eyeballs, and you're just having a rough go at it. All jokes aside, he has a very tough test this weekend against Aoriqileng, and you can't count him out because he's coming off a performance of the night. No, not even a performance of the night. A fight of the night against Jeff Molina. That was UFC 261. Usman versus Masvidal 2. Aoriqileng put on in that fight. Now, did he get 10-8 in the third round? Maybe. Did he lose the second round? I don't know. Maybe. But he made it a highly competitive fight, and as they say, it takes two to tango. So for Aoriqileng, pretty successful debut.
We always say this when we set up our fight of the night screen. It's, hey, we think this guy is going to win for X amount of reasons, but we don't have this as a fight of the night screen because we think it's going to be some one-sided beatdown. And I think we have to sort of do that in review of Aoriqileng's fight with Jeff Molina, because that really is the key. Not only did he take an absurd amount of punishment in that fight, he hurts Jeff Molina with like 10 seconds left. And I know people say this a lot. Oh, if Cody Garbrandt had 5 more seconds against TJ Dillashaw in their first fight, what could have happened? If Aoriqileng had 10 more seconds against Jeff Molina in their fight, we don't really know what would have happened. Like, he had him rocked and he had him hurt. And the really neat thing about that fight was that Aoriqileng had a lot of questions around his game entering that fight. And the great thing was, even in a loss, he was still able to answer a lot of those questions that we had. He himself has a great level of volume in his strikes. He's a much more technical guy than I thought he was upon his UFC entry, because he was able to show that if he is able to get some of his inside techniques off, he's got a good elbow, he's got good straight shots up the middle. There's a lot to like in there. And if you know who Jeff Molina is, surviving a fight like that with a guy like Molina proves to me that you at least belong. Yes, it might be a blemish on your record, but kind of like Dana White said about Yair Rodriguez after his loss to Max Holloway. Like, no. His stock doesn't fade whatsoever. There's some good losses and there's some bad wins, and Aoriqileng had himself a good loss his last time out, and it was a performance that he can build on, because the great thing for Aoriqileng is that he has that great fight with Jeff Molina. Molina becomes not a superstar off that, but definitely a more well-known unranked fighter than most. And then Molina's able to still look good after that. So if Long is able to get up a really nice win against Durden, let's say he is able to defend some of those early takedowns, really work in some of that volume like we saw against Molina, then it's not an immediate rematch that we're going to see in a year or 2 years, but that's one of those really fun fights that you can match up later on down the road if and when both guys ever do enter the rankings.
I mean, that's a weird misnaming you went with there. Just calling him Long. It'd be like calling her Joanne Calder at this point. Just a little strange there, Matt. Aoriqileng. You call him the Mongolian Murderer. You can call him Aoriqileng. You can't call him Keelang Aori. That's just ignorance. Right. That's just straight up ignorance. But if you look at our fighter out of China, this is a guy that 3 of his 6 losses are by submission, something that Cody Durden can definitely capitalize on, especially with his groundwork. But when it comes to the stand-up, I 100% side with Aoriqileng in this fight.
Well, the thing about Durden is that he really does use his forward aggression as a way to get into his wrestling game. I know we say this about a lot of fighters. Marvin Vettori is going to always be the poster boy for it. But Durden does sort of lack some of those in-betweens. Like, I don't think Durden can intelligently defend his head the way some of those other wrestle boxers can. And that's what I keep on coming back to to in this fight. Can Durden take him down? Yes, probably. But I think Aoriqileng's going to be able to get back up. And he was able to put on a really good pace in a fight where he took a lot of punishment. People say this all the time. Like Michael Bisping said, hey, it's really hard to run a marathon. I'm sure those guys are tired. Imagine beating those guys up before the marathon and then getting them to run the marathon. They're going to be a lot more tired afterwards. And Long proved that I'm not worried about him losing the first round in this fight. I know he's going to be able to rally late, and that's what I do like his ability in this fight with Durden.
Matt just digging into it, calling him Long. So in this
I
fight,
said Aoriqileng like 3 times.
the thing that scares me a little bit for Aoriqileng coming into this one, he was a career bantamweight before his last fight. That was his first ever fight at flyweight when he took on Molina. We didn't see any issues in that one. Did he slow down a little bit as it went on? He won the first round. He lost the second round. Jeff Molina, it was like he lifted a boulder in the third round when he picked up his output. But at the very end of it, there was one guy throwing power shots and doing a very, very good job of it. So when we look at the odds for this one, Aoriqileng opened a plus 125 or thereabouts, plus 116 right now. For Cody Durden, he opened a minus 145, minus 141. We're having a look at the Topology votes now. We haven't looked at them yet. I'm going to say over under 55% Durden.
I think Aoriqileng's going to be the favorite. That was the first time I said it.
No, it wasn't. 798 total votes, 65% Durden, 82% by decision for the 35% that have Aoriqileng. 60% by decision, 28% by knockout. This is one of the ones that I've had a hard time going back and forth with because it is a clash of styles. I don't know how good Aoriqileng's defensive chops are for wrestling. I've seen it in the past where he's gotten taken down. I've also seen him obliterate guys on the feet. If you want an example of that, it was when he took on Abdullayev and hit him with a wild left hook and crumples him in front of the cage. He did a great job in that one. Really wide stance, really good power shots, and good volume too. So I like Aoriqileng for what it's worth in his game. Durden might have that X factor though. I don't know.
The issue with Durden, though, is his X factor is his well-roundedness, if anything, and I think it's going to be tough to just be that really well-rounded guy when you're fighting someone like Aoriqileng, because unless you are able to implement your own offensive takedown, which I don't doubt, I think Durden's going to be able to get at least one takedown in this fight. The way I look at it, though, is if he gets that takedown early in the fight, I think Aoriqileng is going to be able to scramble on the bottom enough to not get submitted, at least in the first round. Once fatigue sets in, maybe it will be a different story in the second, third round, but I think at least early on, he'll be active enough on the bottom to not get submitted early, and then if he is able to start the second and third round on the feet, I do like his gas tank, and I do think it will be able to hold up for those rounds in this fight, so I will predict Aoriqileng to win this, but I do think this could be a really, really fun fight, just because Aoriqileng has one of those styles where every single time he gets into the cage, he's going to be one of those fight of the night contenders.
And I mean, if you look at it for Aoriqileng, out of the 5-1 in, that knockout over Hizri Abdullayev that I mentioned, one over Amirov, again, when you start to go into level of competition,
Salty.
It's not very good. I like Durden, and I like him for the fact that, again, if you blitz forward against a guy like this, you're going to be in for a bad night. But if you're able to just go back to the well with the takedown attempts, really rinse and repeat, you're really going to zap everything out of your opponent.
It's going to be hard to keep up that pace, though.
100% it is, but we've seen it from Durden in the past that he can just continue to go to the well with some of those takedowns. Up a weight class against one of the craziest leg kickers you've ever seen in the modern, well, not even the modern day. In all of the days.
Okay, you're selling pretty high.
Going with Cody Durden in this one. We're in disagreement over the picks, so we want to hear from you down below in the comments section. Do you have Aoriqileng to win? Do you have Cody Durden? We have a big-time card coming up. Terrance McKinney's fighting Farah Ziam, and I'm fired up for it, so make sure you check that one out. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, as we always say. Let's get into it.